Akim Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
Causing panic and mistrust amongst citizens.
Lawmakers worry over the spate of banditry and other forms of assault on security personnel.
Global institutions like the World Bank and United Nations have keyed into this concept.
And House calls for adequate attention to environmental matters in line with global trends. Many thanks for tuning again to yet another fresh package of House Ticket, your weekly educative program highlighting the activities of the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. On this package, House deliberates on the rising cases of insecurity all across the country and makes resolutions towards ensuring a more secured Nigeria. Details in the course of the program. In a related development, the lawmakers also called for the suspension of the planned national census this year, citing insecurity even as it discusses public education and social investment programs in the week under review. Stay tuned for the full package as we review these activities and more after this short break.
If we set our minds right, embrace each other in love and brotherhood, we will come through these troubling times. We will survive, we will recover, and then we will thrive. One nation under God, free, peaceful, and prosperous.
Now to the program in full. But before then, let me quickly mention that the House has taken a week of plenary to join constituents and family for the Saleh break. In our first segment of the program, we bring you details of the people-oriented bills and motions in the week of adjournment. Let's take that report as compiled and presented from the studios. The report.
In the week under review, plenary held from 4th to 6th May, during which the lawmakers passed at second reading a bill for an act to establish the Environmental Trust Fund, charged with the responsibility for imposing tax, managing and disbursing the funds for environmental restoration, rehabilitation, conservation, research and education, and for related matters. This was on Thursday, the 6th of May, 2021.
The purpose of the fund, which amongst other things is to encourage and support the restoration and rehabilitation of projects in both the public and private sectors that will or are likely to prevent or reduce pollution or environmental degradation of any kind. Having established the fact that government will continuously encounter problems of financing the mitigation of environmental problems, there is no gainsaying that the establishment of a trust fund to help generate funding in this regard is not out of place.
There was a debate on the general principles of the bill, as some lawmakers posited that it conflicts with the ecological fund already in place, which others supported its passage.
Everything that's enumerated in this bill, which is a very nice bill, is already being taken care of by ecological funds. So I'm just wondering if we have to establish this, and we also have to be very careful about establishment bills, because establishment bills definitely comes with a lot of cost. If we have this, what are we going to do with ecological fund? Because these are the same responsibilities.
Ecological fund is a table, it's a department under the Ministry of Environment. The Environmental Trust Fund is ecological fund, just that he's using the word trust. So if we merge the two, then we'll be able to come with a better provision for it. It's not in doubt that we have a ecological problem everywhere. It's not in doubt. It's worrisome that the management of that fund is still in issue.
This bill, I believe, gives us an opportunity, a window, to look at the operations of some companies in Nigeria. For example, the companies that are engaged in the production of polythene bags. You know, if we impose a tax on them, that will regulate how polythene bags are being used in this country, because moral suasion has proved not to work. You know, there have been calls for recycling, for proper dumping and what have you, but it is not working.
From all indications, what he's saying that the source of funding for this is tax. For me, if he had said that the source of funding would be ecological fund, I would say it's very prudent. I do not like any fund or any activity that is subject to whims and caprices of anybody. I don't like situations where it is at the discretion of anybody. And for me, ecological fund as presently constituted, there isn't a clear modus operandi for it.
It scaled voting and was referred to the House Committee on Environment for further inputs. Another bill debated but eventually stepped down due to the arguments that came up sought to provide for protection of the identity of National Security Agency's personnel, agents, sources, informants, and operational methods from unlawful disclosure. The bill also seeks to protect the security establishment, facilities and equipment against unauthorized access, as well as provide for the promotion and enhancement of Nigeria's external security and for related matters. It was sponsored by lawmaker Oluwole Oke.
Our personnel in our embassies, particularly an incident occurred in one of the Eastern Europe countries, Czech Republic. A staff of NIA in the embassy was monitored, traced into the embassy, and killed. Even within Nigeria here, sir, because of lack of protection of identity of our personnel, there become a daily, there have been daily attacks of this personnel.
There were dissenting voices on the bill.
If you are going to go ahead and pass this one, go to public hearing, and then you discover that, not that you will discover, you are going to come into conflict because there's no way you can be talking about certain regulations, about establishment, operational methods that have already been given, the guidelines have been given to the president makes the regulations. In fact, as a result of that, I had a bill in the last assembly on the National Security Agencies Act to amend it. It had to be stepped down on the basis of this act. And I decided this assembly that we should go ahead to amend the Constitution, remove that section from the Constitution.
Right now that we have not been privileged to know whether the content of the proposed bill are the same in the National Security Agencies Act as proposed, Mr. Speaker. If we have not been cleared on that, I think, Mr. Speaker, Section 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria grants us that absolute right and power as the law-making arm of government to do so. This bill be asked to pass, to be read the second time, and then we go to look at it at the committee stage.
You have said, I'm not privileged to the provisions of what he's trying to amend or to enact. And if it is in conflict, of course, as a presiding officer, I would like to save every kobo. Instead of going into public hearing, that money could be utilized for something else. But if it is in the interest of the nation, by the time he goes through the provisions, 1 week is not too far from today, sir. That we could come back and do the needful.
We can't amend this constitution, that act by this again. We have to repeal that one. Otherwise, all he's saying is very apt. Maybe he did not know of this National Security Act. All he's saying here now is contained therein. It's amount to duplication. It's amount to trying to also amend this constitution now by that.
Eventually, the lawmaker was advised to step down the bill to enable more work on its general principles. The House, while deliberating on the worrisome state of insecurity across the country, entertained a motion by lawmaker Obinna Chidoka under matters of urgent public importance. It was on the attack and destruction of the police station and the killing of 2 police officers in Obosi Town, Idemili North and South Federal Constituency. This was on Thursday, the 6th of May, 2021.
The rising spate of violence in Anambra State,
the Southeast region, and indeed the entire country, is increasing at an alarming geometric progression, causing panic and mistrust amongst citizens.
The prayers of the motion called on the federal government to declare a state of emergency on security nationwide in line with an earlier resolution of the House of Representatives. Further called on the federal government to urgently reorganize the security architecture so as to properly accommodate and fast-track the creation of state police.
The motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it.
Under matters of urgent public importance during plenary of Wednesday, the 5th of May 2021, the House adopted another motion on security, sponsored by Representative Mark Billa. It was titled, Resurgence of Wanton Killing of Innocent Nigerians in Gwe West and Other Local Government Areas in Benue State by Suspected Herdsmen.
The House is alarmed at the brutal murder of 17 innocent Nigerians by suspected herdsmen in Bamondu village, Vengav, in Avihijime ward of Gwe West local government area of Benue State on Sunday, May 2nd, 2021, and the recent apparent resurgence in the murder of innocent, helpless Nigerians by suspected herdsmen in Gwe West, Guma, Makudi, and Agatu local government areas of Benue State, where over 70 people have been murdered in the last 3 weeks.
The motion also worried about the thousands of internally displaced persons as a result of the resurgence of banditry and attacks on the Benue State communities. The prayers of the motion are as follows: that the House urges the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately provide relief materials to IDPs across the country as a result of displacement due to community attacks by armed bandits. Mandates the House Committee on Emergency and Disaster Preparedness and Internally Displaced Persons to ensure compliance. The House Committees on Emergency and Disaster Preparedness and Appropriation to prevail on the Budget Office and NEMA to ensure adequate funds is provided in any impending supplementary budget and the 2022 NEMA budget to enable NEMA provide monthly comprehensive intervention to IDP camps across the country. The House also requests the Defense Ministry and the Nigerian Army to immediately deploy more personnel and equipment, including surveillance and intelligence gathering technology, to the security operatives in Benue State to enable them tackle the resurgence of the attacks. The House also considered a motion calling on the federal government to suspend the proposed 2021 population and housing census to be conducted by the National Population Commission of Nigeria.
Observe that some displaced persons have crossed over to neighboring countries for refuge and cannot be captured in the census if the census is to be conducted. Further observe that with the overwhelming security challenges at hand, expecting accuracy in any census conducted now will be like passing an elephant through the eyes of a needle. Worried that in this circumstance, a large chunk of Nigerians have fled their homes, while many others are being held under captive by kidnappers. As such, conducting such census without them means infringing on their rights or their constitutional rights.
The current economic recession was also pointed out as an added disadvantage for the census not to hold, as it will lead to waste of money. The motion rather advocated for intensified efforts in providing security for the citizens rather than conducting a census at a time like now. There was no debate on the motion. The following resolutions were reached on the matter. The House calls on the federal government to suspend the upcoming census exercise until the security of the country is stabilized. The House also mandates its relevant committees to inquire into the work plans of the National Population Commission with regards to the census exercise. The House invites the chairman of the National Population Commission to clarify as to the feasibility of conducting a census in the face of insecurity.
Those against this say nay.
Earlier in the week, during plenary of Tuesday, the 4th of May 2021, the House passed at second reading a bill for an act to provide a legal framework for establishment of the National Social Investment Programs for the assistance and empowerment of the poor and vulnerable in Nigeria. The bill is sponsored by the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and 10 others. A co-sponsor presented the bill on the floor of the House on behalf of the other sponsors.
In Section 14, subsection A, proposed for the direct deduction of 15% aggregate of the value-added tax collected monthly for the purpose of funding these novel programs. The positive impacts created by the implementation of SIPs in Nigeria remain unprecedented in the history of this country. In Bauchi State alone, for instance, where I served as the focal person of the SIPs between the period of 2016 to 2018, not fewer than 704,000 direct beneficiaries were engaged under the various components of the SIPs.
The bill further seeks to establish the National Social Investment Programs Coordination Office within the Federal Ministry responsible for social development to manage the implementation of the programs and National Social Investment Trust Fund to alleviate poverty among vulnerable Nigerians through targeted programs for the aged, infirm, unemployed, and students, and for related matters. The bill was unanimously passed without a debate. It has been referred to the Committee on Legislative Agenda for more inputs. The House last week also entertained quite a number of matters under personal explanation as lawmakers from across the country reported breaches in security. The matter brought up by lawmaker Shehu Saleh Rijal, Niger State, laid complaints over the continuous attack on his constituents by bandits.
The communities are Inana, Warari, Gulbimboka, and Atabu, that's the Magama Federal constituency. So many people were rendered homeless. They leave their houses and then to the local government headquarters. The banditry even went to the market, that is on market day, cutted all their cattle and then went away with it.
The lawmaker therefore prayed that the House urge the service chiefs to deploy their men to the affected areas, while the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, should provide relief materials to victims, and the House Committee on Defense should be mandated to ensure compliance. For lawmaker Leke Abejide, it was on the gruesome killing of the Commissioner of Kogi State Pension Board and the abduction of Yagba West Local Government Chairman, who was still in captivity.
The commissioner was killed on the 1st of May. They were in the same vehicle with the abducted chairman. And as at this morning, they called and they are demanding for 100 million naira. The House resolved to urge the Inspector General of Police to deploy all necessary means at his disposal to urgently secure the safe release of Honorable Pius Kolawole, the chairman of Yaba West Local Government, from the den of kidnappers.
Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it.
The two matters on banditry and kidnappings were referred to the Special Committee on Security Matters. And from the South-South, precisely Akwa Ibom State, came a motion calling for comprehensive investigation, prosecution, and punishment of perpetrators of the kidnapping, sexual assault, physical and heinous killing of Ms. Iniobong Omoren, and the need to protect her family members. Lawmaker Unyime Udem brought up the motion seeking for the support of the House in bringing justice to the victim, who was a graduate of the University of Uyo on a job hunt where she met her death.
Available information has it that she received a phone call from the assailants who pretentiously called her and invited her to a false interview of an advertised job, aware that the innocent Miss Inubong Moren was later found dead by the officers of the Nigerian Police Force after an official report, and with the help of a wide reportage of her disappearance. The family members of the deceased have reportedly raised an alarm, receiving strange phone calls and threats of various degrees, and have been asked to withdraw the case.
Prayers to mandate the House Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development to follow up the investigation and prosecution and ensure compliance and report back to the House was adopted, just as the Inspector General of Police has been urged by the House to immediately commission and take over the investigation and prosecution of the perpetrators of the heinous crime, as well as provide protection for the victim's family. On motions from the order paper for that Tuesday, the 4th of May 2021, the House adopted the motion on the need to investigate the abuse of expatriate quota by telecommunications equipment vendors and service providers in Nigeria.
Many of the expatriates still retain their employment after their permit had expired and not been renewed as required by law. Also concerned that expatriates enjoy unimaginable pay and privileges while their Nigerian counterparts are paid less and treated with disdain in their own country, and many competent Nigerians lost their jobs.
The motion had only one prayer, and it urged the House to mandate the Committees on Telecommunication and Interior to investigate the alleged expatriate quota abuse in the telecommunications sector and report back to the House within 6 weeks. The motion was adopted.
Those against this say nay. Ayes have it.
The House also adopted a motion on the need to investigate the automated e-ticketing process of the Nigerian Railway Corporation (NRC) for the Abuja-Kaduna train services. Representative Zayyad Ibrahim sponsored the motion.
Ticket racketeering, which the e-ticketing system sought to eradicate, is still going on unabated, as tickets can no longer be adequately assessed online due to mischievous activities of some people who racketeer the tickets and resell to passengers at exorbitant prices. The project, which is operated by a private firm named Secured 18 Company Limited, under public-private partnership with the federal government, is valued at 900 million naira, and the concessioners are expected to be paid within 10 years.
The House therefore resolved to urge the management of the Nigerian Railway Corporation (NRC) and Secured 18 Company Limited to strengthen their internal mechanism with a view to eradicating ticket racketeering. The House Committee on Land Transport has been mandated to investigate the matter and report back to the House within 2 weeks for further legislative action. Meanwhile, several bills were introduced to the House and read for the first time, amongst which are the National Budget Bill 2021 and the Mandatory Department of Guidance and Counseling Departments in Educational Institutions in Nigeria Bill 2021.
Thanks for still being there. If you just tuned in, the program is House Ticket, an educative legislative program on the activities of lawmakers in the House of Representatives, which comes your way weekly on NTA Parliament. We took a review of plenary activities in the first segment of the program, highlighting deliberations on the security of the nation and resolutions reached by the lawmakers. In other development, at the instance of the House, its leadership in a people-oriented action had met with the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Minister of Health, Director General Budget Office and the National Association of Resident Doctors, Tuesday, 4th May 2021, in order to bring an end to the agitations of the doctors over their salary arrears, amongst other contending issues. The Tuesday meeting had been rescheduled from a previous one held on 29th April 2021. At the meeting, the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, said funds were available for payment of salary arrears and that the ministry will begin payment on the 7th of May when a verified list of the beneficiaries was received from the Budget Office. The doctors on their part had agreed to suspend the planned resumption of the strike action as soon as they got payment of the arrears, which ranges from 1 to 5 months. This is where we end this package of House Ticket. We look forward to hearing your questions and comments on the workings of the legislature. You can send your feedback through the platforms showing on your screen. In the meantime, remain safe always. Bye-bye and God bless Nigeria.